Have you ever faced a moment when you had nothing left, but someone still asked you to give? Would you obey? Would you trust? This is the true story of a widow in Zarephath whose tiny act of faith changed everything. The sun burned hot over the hills of Israel. Clouds had not been seen for months. The earth was cracked, animals were thin, and families whispered about death. In the middle of this drought lived a poor widow in a coastal town called Zarephath. She had already lost her husband. Now she feared losing her little boy. Every day she searched for scraps of food. Every night she prayed for rain. Her house was small, built of stone. Inside, a clay jar of flour sat in the corner. Each day she reached in and felt less and less. A small jug of oil leaned against the wall, its level dropped lower and lower. She counted the days, counted the crumbs, and counted her hopes. She planned one last meal. After that she did not know what would happen. Far away, the prophet Elijah was also living under God's care. He had seen God stop the rain. He had hidden by a brook and been fed by ravens. When the brook dried up, God spoke to him again. Get up. Go to Zarephath in Sidon. I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. Elijah did not know her name. He did not know what she looked like. He only knew that God had spoken. So he walked under the hot sun, dust on his sandals, trusting God with each step. His stomach was empty, but his heart was full of faith. At the city gate of Zarephath, Elijah saw her. A woman bent low gathering sticks. Her hands were thin from hunger. Her clothes were worn. Her eyes looked tired but still gentle. This was the woman. Elijah felt a pull in his heart, the Spirit of God confirming, this is her. He called out to her, please bring me a little water in a jar so I may drink. The widow looked up, surprised. A stranger asking for water in the middle of a drought? Yet something in his voice was kind. She turned and began to go for water. Then Elijah added, and please bring me a piece of bread. She stopped. Bread? She almost laughed. She turned back to him and said in a trembling voice, as surely as the Lord your God lives, I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it, and die. Elijah stepped closer, his eyes steady. Don't be afraid, he said softly. Go home and do as you have said. But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. Then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. The widow held her breath. Could this be true? Could she give away the last she had and still live? Her heart raced. She looked at her son playing nearby, thin and hungry. She looked at Elijah, dusty, tired, but glowing with a strange peace. In that moment she chose faith over fear. She nodded and went to her house. Inside the small house she set down the sticks. She reached into the flour jar. It felt almost empty. She poured the oil. Just a thin stream. She whispered a prayer she had never prayed before, God of Israel, if this is your man, let your word be true. She kneaded the dough, lit the fire with the sticks, and baked the bread. When it was done she took the warm loaf in her hands. The smell filled the small room. She broke a piece and tasted it. It was good. She wrapped the bread and walked back to Elijah. "Here," she said quietly. He thanked her and ate. Then she returned home to see if there was anything left. Her hands trembled as she reached into the flour jar again. To her shock, there was still flour at the bottom, not less but the same as before. She lifted the oil jug. It still poured. Tears filled her eyes. She called her son and made bread for them too. They ate until they were full. Day after day, week after week, the flour and oil did not run out. The woman of Zarephath shows God's faithfulness in giving. When you have little but still obey, God multiplies it. Days turned into weeks. Each morning the widow would go to the flour jar and the oil jug. Each morning she would find enough. She learned to breathe again. Her boy grew stronger. The house began to feel like a home instead of a waiting room for death. Then one day, without warning, a different kind of storm hit her house. Her little boy grew ill. At first it was a cough. Then he became weak. His skin grew pale. His breathing slowed. The widow tried everything she knew, cool cloths, whispered prayers, but he only became worse. She held him in her arms, rocking back and forth. "Lord, why now? You saved us from hunger. Why take him now?" she sobbed. Her mind swirled. Was this her fault? Had she done something wrong? She thought about Elijah. She thought about God. Her heart broke. Finally she could not bear it any longer. She carried her lifeless son to Elijah. Her voice trembled with pain and anger. "What do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son?" Elijah looked at her, not with anger but with deep compassion. "Give me your son," he said gently. He took the boy from her arms, climbed the stairs to the small upper room where he was staying, and laid the child on his own bed. There Elijah cried out to the Lord. His voice echoed against the walls. "Lord my God, have you brought tragedy even on this widow I am staying with, by causing her son to die? Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him." He stretched himself out on the boy 3 times, a sign of total surrender, and prayed again, "Lord my God, let this child's life return to him." It was a desperate, bold prayer. Then, in the stillness of the room, the boy's chest rose. Air filled his lungs. Color returned to his face. His eyes opened. He looked at Elijah. Life had returned. Elijah's heart leapt. He scooped up the boy and ran down the stairs. He placed him back into his mother's arms. "Look," he said softly, "your son is alive." The widow stared at her child, touching his face, his hands, his hair. Tears streamed down her cheeks, tears of relief, tears of joy. She looked at Elijah, her voice shaking, "Now I know that you are a man of God and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth." Her faith had begun with a loaf of bread. Now it was confirmed with the life of her son. The woman of Zarephath discovered that God is not only the provider of food but also the giver of life. He sees our deepest pain. He hears our desperate cries. For us today, her story whispers, when you are at the end of your strength, still trust. When you feel you have lost it all, still cry out. God can turn emptiness into plenty, and death into life. Think back to where this woman started. A widow at the end of her resources. A single mother ready to make a last meal and die. Then a stranger asked for what she had left. She chose to trust, to give, and to obey. And through that tiny act of faith, she met the living God. Her jar never emptied. Her jug never ran dry. And when death came for her son, she saw God's power to bring life again. This is not just an old story. It is a mirror for us. Many of us are living through our own droughts, maybe not of rain but of hope. We look at our bank account, our health, our relationships, and we feel like that widow, I have nothing left. Yet God still asks us to trust Him with the little we have. What does this mean for you watching today? It means your small obedience matters. It means what you place in God's hands will never run out. It means He is not only interested in filling your pantry but also in healing your heart. Like the widow, you may be thinking, why me? Why now? But God's question back to you is, will you trust me even here? The Woman of Zarephath teaches us that miracles often begin when we give God our last handful of flour, our last drop of oil, our last ounce of hope. Maybe you're caring for a child, a parent, a dream that feels like it's dying. Remember how she ran to Elijah with her dead son? She didn't hide him. She didn't give up. She placed him in the hands of God's servant. And God gave him back alive. In the same way, you can place your fears, your losses, your dead dreams into God's hands. He still hears. He still restores. He still multiplies. The Woman of Zarephath shows us three things. God provides in scarcity. God gives life in the face of death. God reveals Himself through our obedience. Her story is a beacon of hope for anyone who feels small, overlooked, or at the end of their strength. If this story has touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's feeling empty today. Remind them that their jar will not run dry. And if you want more real, powerful stories of faith like this one, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Each week we bring you fresh encouragement from the Bible to help you walk through your own droughts and see God's miracles. Like the widow's jar, this channel is meant to pour out hope, one story at a time. Stay connected, share your thoughts in the comments, and let's walk this journey of faith together. Thank you for watching. May your heart be filled, your hands strengthened, and your hope renewed.